Nancy Berger.
And I'm Mimi Pollard.
And we're here to represent the group Truly Unruly, also the Textile Center of Minnesota and Contemporary Quilters of Minnesota.
Truly Unruly started, I was either the end of November of 2007. We had just completed a challenge with Minnesota Contemporary Quilters. And so it was just a collaborative effort of all of us who lived in a certain area to get together. And then we met in January. Out of the 7, 5 of us are still members of Truly Unruly. Of course, we had to come up with a name, and we decided that we always break the rules there for the name. We've been playing off of each other, and Nancy has been very kind to offer us her garage to play in. Being adult and near retirement at that time, we just loved the opportunity to play. So we pretended we were kids, and when you're a kid, you just break all the rules and you have fun and you make a mess. The art that we started off with, we all came from more of a traditional background, and we branched out and we started taking classes and learning how to doing different techniques, techniques such as rusting fabric. Then there's discharging fabric. And when I joined, it was like, what are they talking about? It was a completely different language, and you had to learn how to do different things. So we experimented with different techniques, and we've all evolved. Some of our techniques will include monoprinting. They'll include rust dye. They will include collage with fabrics. They will include using Inktense blocks or pencils. They will include using watercolor. Nancy and I will dye fabric. We'll mix dyes. She has an idea in her head, and I don't know what the heck I'm going to do, so I just make mud sometimes, and you learn from your mistakes. We've branched out in making different types of art, and sometimes the ugliest fabric makes your piece of art really pop. It's amazing how that works. You know, it's magical sometimes.
We started in the garage with dyeing, and because I was the only one who had dyed before, I sort of controlled the amount of dye and the colors we used and gave people a chance to experiment. And out of that came fabric that you wouldn't use traditional techniques with. And so we cut free motion, we sew free motion, we do things independently that bounce off of each other. The dyed fabric then went on to be, well, okay, we could screen print on top of it because we don't like what we have, so we're going to put another layer on. Well, then sometimes you did the dyeing, you did the screen printing, and you're still not sure you like it. So then you might put another technique on top of that. You might put stamping on it, or you might use the Inktense pencil and intensify the color. Each of the layers that you build on creates more interest. And in Mimi's piece behind us, one of the layers that she used that you'll see in probably 3 or 4 pieces here is tulle. We played with tulle. If it has sparkle, Mimi loves it.
I love it.
And it just adds another dimension. It makes some colors look brighter and it makes some colors look duller. And it's never about the color, it's always about the value. Okay. If you're working with value, you're going to have more success.
Truly Unruly meets about once a month. And we either meet for lunch, we discuss different techniques that we've been working on at home. In the summertime is when we typically play in Nancy's garage.
The Textile Center in Minneapolis has classes. Minnesota Quilters and Contemporary Quilters have classes also. They are a place to start learning. There are a lot of books in the Textile Center library that teach techniques. Most of the small groups have become closed groups because we meet in people's homes. And so we only have room for as many people as we have chairs. But we are always willing to help other people learn, and our group has invited people in to play in the garage with us to teach. And I think that's a part of what we do, is try to give back to other people as well as to each other.
Nancy, should we show some of the viewers our pieces?
Well, of course, we'd love to. This is one of my pieces. It's called Desert Bighorn Sheep. It was done from a photo my husband took. I have been told by some people that the horn looks like a reflection of the mountains shining, and it is all about value, not color. When I use color, the dark values can create an edge, and they're slipped underneath. The lighter colors show where the light is reflecting, and all of the thread painting that is done on it helps to accentuate the shapes of the horn and the face and the body. We have about half of the pieces in the show that have been done using a collage method, where some form of glue, either Elmer's school glue or more sophisticated fiber glues, have been used to hold down the pieces so that they can be stitched. Very few of these pieces have been stitched together. One of the things about collage is that one piece is laid on top of another until you have a buildup of layers that creates the look.
This is one of my pieces that I did, and this is a white desert flower that I found in the desert while hiking. The flowers and the movement of the wind and the laciness of the, and I don't even know what kind of flowers are, kind of a tulip flower in the desert, wild. They spoke to me because they were free motion, flowing, and I loved it. When I was taking the class, it was suggested that I do not work with white because white is a color that is hard to recreate. And I thought, I don't see white in this flower. The flower has yellow, the flower has lavender, the flower has some shadowing in there. And how do I recreate that? So this being a collage piece, it was easy because you're cutting millions of different little pieces of fabric and putting them together and highlighting the yellow center and the darker value, and to make it pop. I mean, and to be subtle so that it doesn't just jar out and jump out at you. So it's pale pink, pale lavender, a little blue lavender, just to create some shadow and more motion in here. And trying to define the two flowers was kind of a challenge, but it worked for me. I love the laciness of the flowers, and the background was just desert, sticks, weeds, dirt. And so in recreating it, I just stitched it to look like the ground. And then when I was finishing off the piece, it was like, I don't want straight edges because that's conventional. I wanted the flowers to still flow. And as you can see, I made the wavy edges, and trying to finish off the wavy edges was another challenge. And how do I do that to make it look flat? So I had a lot of challenges, but I was really thrilled with the results of the flower. Not all art is wall art. Sometimes we have wearable art. And with the wearable art, this piece was done by Lori Sebastiani, and this is called Life Unleashed. The purpose behind it is she had just retired. The material is out of hand-dyed silk, and she wanted to express her freedom from the corporate world where things were just really defined. And what she did is she stitched and felted the designs around the collar. The button was to express the uniqueness and the freedom, and she's unleashed, as you can see here by the drapery. She got very creative, lined the lining on the coat, and she's just having fun being very simplified, but yet very delicate in her freedom. She's trying to express her growth, and the back of the coat is just dynamic. As you can see, the back of Lori's piece expresses her freedom and her desire to grow. This is an applique center with a lot of machine quilting. The expression around is all thread that she put on here, and she's, the thread that she just stitched, and it was just freedom, just to have fun. And then it was the focal point is that she's growing and she's branching out, and you can see how she's just developed her style.
We're all very proud of Suzanne O'Brien. This is her night flight moth, and she has really found her place learning to do things that she enjoys. The piece includes the collage that we've been talking about and overlays of netting that have given some glimmer to the night sky. It's mostly hand-dyed fabrics and batiks, and we think that it's powerful and fragile at the same time.
Both of these artworks are done by the same artist, Peg Lindbergh. This one is called For All. Her inspiration came from the civil unrest of 2020. The technique that she used here was of a dyed piece of fabric. The colors that she used were the grays, the browns, the turquoise. And if you think about it, it's the value of the brown and the turquoise that really make this piece pop. She spent a lot of time at the Mayo Clinic looking at people, and what she saw wasn't color. What she saw were the expressions in their eyes, the expressions of their lips, the feeling. And when you're looking at someone, you just see those facial features. She put all of these into this fabric, and she let the fabric bring out the intensity of the emotion. She stitched. She kind of stitched by drawing a few features in here, and then the rest of it was done by her sewing machine. Inside here, she just felt the need to express how she felt about the unrest of 2020 by saying equal justice. And it's very subtle. It's not in your face. It's layered, and she used some cheesecloth, painted it, so you have multiple layers on this particular piece to give you that expression of how she felt. This triptych here by Peg Lindbergh is similar technique. However, all three pieces in the center are rust-dyed fabric. If you can see, there's rust here, there's rust in here, rust along different pieces. So you have the first layer of a neutral colored fabric that has been rusted. You look at the fabric, and she decided that she was going to add a little bit of cheesecloth to it, dyed cheesecloth. I mean, it's not just for Halloween anymore. Artists use it to dye and enhance their vision. You can see the cheesecloth is brown here. There's some dark cheesecloth to represent hair, motion. All of the faces in these three have been drawn with the sewing machine. She just created the technique with her sewing machine and her vision. And it's a very slow, laborious process, but it's very enjoyable because you never know what the final outcome is going to be. This one she called the Three Voices. They all have different expressions.
This is another one of my pieces. We were at Blue Mountain State Park in southwestern Minnesota to take pictures of swans. There was a little fog. The only thing we could see was gray and more gray. So I had this piece of fabric that I had hand dyed, and it was on the way to being just exactly what I saw. And then I stenciled weeds to show what we could see in the ditch, and used thread on top of the stencils to throw in a few trees in the background and to give it dimension. It was a very enjoyable piece for me to work on, but I never really thought it was as good as the rest of the world did. The vertical stitching in the piece shows the weeds and the trees and really gives it some height. And then the stitching going across the top shows the wind blowing the fog away and the sunshine trying to come in and brighten up the day. Right after we finished taking this, we did actually see some swans.
Another one of our members of the Truly Unruly group, Edith Daskala, also is into wearable arts. And what she has done here is created a dress, a necklace. The images are applique images on the dress. The back also has a different design on the dress. The coat matches the dress. The coat is very special because this is a cotton fabric where she had hand stamped the images of the elephants and has done some applique on that. The necklace she just made out of the silk sari material to complement the elephants. This piece here is done by Debbie Boyles. It's called 1 by 1, number 3. Debbie works in a series, and this is the third piece in this particular series. She had sanded a fiber board, painted it, but before she painted it, she had placed a silhouette cutout of a couple people, and that silhouette just gives you the image. To further enhance the image, she has taken, I believe it's silk organza, burnt the silk organza to define the movement. You know, there was a piece that she really was excited about from the New York Times, from the columnist David Brooks. And his quote that she put into the piece talks about the unrest and the civil liberties that were going on at the time. This is from 2016 from the New York Times, and the quote reads, "The social fabric is tearing across this country, but everywhere it seems healers are rising up to repair their small piece of it. They're going into hollow places and creating community, building intimate relationships, and change lives, one by one." David Brooks, June 21st, 2016. Her piece is just flowing with emotion. She has some beadwork on here. It's multiple layers to give you the dimension. The 1 by 1 has been painted on freehand by Debbie Boyles. Well, I hope you have enjoyed our exhibition at the Landmark Center in the North Gallery. This show runs until August 29th, so please come and visit. It is absolutely fantastic. As a group, we collectively brought in pieces that thought would fit, and when I first saw the show, I was blown away how incredible it is.